I've always been like a really anxious person, like getting in front of people, doing all this stuff, like very hard on myself. And I remember when I started breaking, like I would just think that all these dancers are judging me, prevent me from like going out as much as I'd want to. But now that I've been breaking for a long time and I'm experienced, whenever I see like a newer dancer, someone that's younger, that's just starting out, I'm just rooting for them, you know?
We got a breakdancer from Vancouver, BC, Canada. He's well known here in the Northwest. He's thrown jams, he won jams, he judged jams. He's in a crew called Flithee Feet. He's known for his originality, his creativity, and on this episode, we'll be going over his mindset, his inspirations, how to get in the breaking, and other cool fun facts like how to get a roll and step up all in. My name is Tony47. If you find this channel valuable, like, share, subscribe, and enjoy this episode. Hey, what up, guys? We got a real blessing to be on the show today. We got Bboy Marks Illers. He's from Vancouver, BC, Canada. He's been breaking for over a decade plus, and he's their go-to in Vancouver. Hey, Marks Illers, how you doing?
I am great, even better now. Thanks for having me on this show. Excited
Yeah,
to chat and freestyle and all that. Yeah.
yeah, let's go. Cool. So before, welcome to the show. It is called CypherBeastT.V. That's where you can find the channel and podcast. I'm your host, Tony47, and a little bit about me. I'm out here in Portland, Oregon, and I've been breaking for about 17 years, like off and on. I won jams, I judged jams, I thrown jams out here in Portland, Oregon. The context of this new channel and podcast is to explore your knowledge, your mindset, lessons you learn, and most of all, inspire others through your visual lens. Marks Illers, Bboy
Yeah.
Marks Illers. Yeah. So, you're one of the first persons I met in Canada back, like, I don't know, I think like 2012, 2013 at the Player Cards battle that Arthur threw.
Yeah.
I met you through Hugh Impulse, and so he was judging. B-Boy Puzzle was judging. I think it was Tricky that was judging at that time, and I came out there with for somebody from Salem that we just entered as a 2 vs 2, and that was my first time in Canada. I think we got to semifinals during that time, and I just remember you were there. I don't know how far you guys went, but I remember we were eating. We linked up, and we had like Korean barbecue and sushi afterwards. So.
Yeah. Starting to okay, yeah,
This was
crazy.
like 10 years ago. So this is a throwback for sure. And, definitely honor, super blessed that I went out to that trip and Hugh introduced us. And now we're here on this podcast. And so,
Yeah, I'll come back around.
yes. So, hey, tell me about yourself a little bit. Where are you from? How long have you been dancing? And then how did you get into breaking?
All right. So yeah, my name is Mark. Full name is Mark Siller. B-boy name is
Okay.
Mark Siller. So the space just shifted.
Oh, that's tight. Okay.
Um, so maybe I'll just start with like I started dancing. I can like trace this back to when I was a toddler. I
Uh-huh.
always like was obsessed with certain things. It'd be like one thing. And a lot of the time it was things to do with movement. So I was obsessed with trains because I love the wheels and all the like steam engine parts moving around. And
Oh,
when I was
wow.
about 3, I was obsessed with ceiling fans. And I loved watching them spin and stuff. I remember my
Okay.
parents took me on a vacation once and I was just like livid and like freaking out. And I laid down in the hotel and just like watched the ceiling fan and I was like having a great time. So I'm really interested in movement. When I was in high school, I would watch old kung fu flicks with my good friends.
Oh,
A lot of like
nice.
Jackie Chan movies, like Drunken
Wow.
Master. And my favorite was Fearless Hyena. Um, and watching movies like that, especially the Jackie Chan ones,
Uh-huh.
uh, I really started to fall in love with like creative movement because I get this empowering feeling of like I can create movement, whether it's like subtle or not subtle, and it just like gave me this like I need to do that, right?
Okay.
Um, and then later in high school, I saw people breaking in my first high school in Burnaby, And then eventually I just like became obsessed with breaking. Um, the
Nice.
relationship of movement and creative movement with music and that energy of music and that culture just really gravitated to me and I gravitated to it. So that was like
Nice.
maybe 1999.
Oh
So I'd
wow.
say I started breaking in 2000. So I'm on year 23 now. So
Oh
it
wow.
yeah, it's been a while. So
Yes.
yeah, started breaking in high school. Started like a breaking club with my friends there. And actually, one of my crew members, Michael Sosick from Filthy Feet,
Uh-huh.
he he's like one of my friends from high school that I met, and we danced at that club. And yeah, um, and as far as how I got my breaking name, was going
Yeah.
to Outbreak with my crew, and it was a typo in the airline ticket. They just put the space in the wrong spot, and
Oh no
my
way.
my crew started calling me Marks Iller. I like entered
Oh
as that, and it just stuck. So not really a choice. It just got thrown on me by the fates. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's really cool how that happened. Cause like, yeah, the space with the marks in Iller, it just works with like the hip hop name, your b-boy name into it. So that's
Totally.
real
Yeah.
cool.
And I also just wanted to like rep my last name in my b-boy name, just to like honor my dad who passed away like 12 years ago. So I was like, oh, that'd be
Oh
cool.
man. Yeah.
Like, like having my full name as my breaking alias is like a cool way to keep keep the memory alive too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Man, that's so cool.
Thanks.
Did how old were you when did you just like got exposed to the breaking? You
Yeah.
said 99, so
Yeah, around like I'd say 99 2000 is when I started dabbling. Like I think back then it's not like I started like now. It was like a lot of
right, yeah.
different things. Like I was into like parkour and free running with my friends and just like creative movement. And like I said, like kind of trying like flips and everything. And then it kind of
Okay.
all led into that. And a big part of it was like the friends I had and stuff back then. But the first time I saw breaking, I don't know, I'd say it was like on Much Music. In Canada, we have Much Music, and a lot of the content was
Uh
kind of from Toronto. So a lot of the Toronto or Ontario scene in general, Eastern Canada would be on the channel a
when
lot.
you
Like,
sorry to
yeah.
but jump in, but
Oh,
when you say much music,
mhm.
can you elaborate a little bit more? What was it, a jam? Was it a video? What was that?
It was a channel, TV channel. They just played like music
Oh, okay.
videos. Sometimes they'd like live stream, not live stream, but they'd have like a party and just be people house dancing.
Oh,
And
okay.
I saw it before I was like, yes, I can do this. Yeah. But
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
2000 was, I guess, when I started like more seriously, like just strictly breaking. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So you're getting a little exposure of like some of the hip hop dance, kind of dancing, uh,
Yeah.
different categories of dancing, and then you definitely resonate in the breaking in the long run, right? And so
Mhm. Yeah. And I
cool.
also I also loved like video games like JRPGs like Final Fantasy and
Uh-huh.
like they have turn-based battles and I'm always like, I wonder if that also made me like breaking these battles. Yeah.
Right, yeah, because it's like turn based, right? Like a battles, you'll take turns to do what you gotta do. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's kind of cool. That's dope. Dope. Yeah, I definitely love the RPG games and stuff. I played a lot of it back in the day. I think my favorite was like I think my favorite when I was a kid, I played Mario RPG a lot. I don't know, I think I
Yes.
beat it like 4 or 5 times. 10 years
There's a
later, I'll still play it.
they're
And
remaking
so
it.
are they really?
Yeah,
Oh,
someone's
what?
making it, yeah, for Switch.
Nice, nice. Okay. Okay. Then I
Yeah.
played like Chrono Trigger back in the day and like Final Fantasy 7 and yeah.
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 Even like the energy of the music sometimes kind of reminds me of like, you know, s- like music you'll find in some music you'll find in breaking, like that kind of high energy, like the boss theme.
Kind of get a little intense. A little has yeah. Damn, that's dope. That's how you brought that up with the how to incorporate with that into your breaking or kind of like using that knowledge turn base of RPG. And it does, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. I know you're in Filthy Feet. Are you in any
Mhm.
other crews? And where you are you sounds like you're one of the originators of Filthy Feet. Is that
No, 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 no,
no?
no.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Filthy Feet. So the crews that I'm a part of, I was in a couple of crews before I joined Filthy Feet, though those crews aren't active anymore. My first crew was called Box of Rocks,
Uh-huh.
with some like friends in Burnaby and in my high school. And then I joined a crew called Super Happy Family, SHF. Made a lot
Okay.
of good friends and kind of like built a lot and like experienced a lot in that crew. And Filthy Feet was actually one of the crews I always looked up to. So when I saw them
Oh.
at events and everything, they were like my heroes. And Filthy Feet is originally from Victoria, BC, on Vancouver Island.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's another generation or two of dancers before me. Uh, when I got down in the crew, though, unfortunately, at around that time, a lot of the people that I looked up to, like Nathan Switch, Flo, Steve, Ryan, Blink, um, there's like a whole roster, Dave, Robin, Cody, like all of these dancers, a lot of them like ended up getting injured or what have you, or like just kind of like went on to other things like other art forms. So um I kind of got
Yeah.
down in the crew with Dean, Razzie D, and Rory Rocket was in the crew a little bit before us. So it was mainly us three and Robin who I would battle with. So I
Okay.
didn't really get to like cross with a lot of the my heroes. So hopefully
Yeah.
one day it'll come full circle and I'll be able to like battle with them or session with them more. But yeah,
Okay.
been around for a while. Yeah.
Damn, that's cool. That's cool. Like, bringing it back of like some of the histories, but within the crews and stuff like that, and circling back from, I don't know, I'm assuming they're OGs now, right?
Mhm.
And stuff. So that's really dope. And
Mhm.
that's out in, your scene and stuff like that. And definitely that stuff needs to get, low exposure, which is kind of cool, from your age and bringing back, some of the names from the past. And so that's really dope because I wouldn't have known that. And now you brought it up. Now
Mhm.
it does
I'm
resonate in my
gonna
mind.
Yeah. I'm actually because I resonated with those dancers so much, and a lot of like my crew are my inspirations and my heroes. I'll probably like create some content and kind of showcase a lot of like the archives and stuff in some way in the future. I would like to do that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be really dope. Dope. You should.
yeah, I'll do it. But it's all the time and like all the crazy stuff happening in life all the time. But yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I'll
As we're
yeah.
getting older, I feel like it's just, time's getting more busier. We got more work, family, things, travel, yeah, it's definitely getting busy times. But I'm glad that you're taking the time like here today to do
Of
this
course.
with me.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Yeah. Uh, so you've been in the scene out in Canada for more than like you said 2 decades, roughly 20 years. Um, who would you say would be the people if we moved to Canada or wanted to know more about the Canada scene, the people should link up in Canada or like the people we should know within that scene? Like I know the people are out there. Arthur, he throws a lot of jams. Definitely want to connect with him. Puzzle was there. I remember he was living out there, but I think he just moved recently. I think Teo's over there. There's Raw Mines down there.
Yeah.
Could you name a few that that's
Yeah.
still in the scene or
If you're looking to like learn about the history, a lot of the names that you mentioned are good names. I would definitely throw like a couple of the OG members of NON, like Jarek and Jamie in there. Like they've been around for a really long time and have a good grasp of the history, and they've been there for a lot of it. Contents Under Pressure was like one of the crews that um like when I first started breaking, I'd always heard legends about them, you know.
Okay.
They I don't know how active a lot of them are. There's still like I know like Rob Risk, for example, who's one of the members, started Fortune Sound Club, which is a nightclub in Vancouver and actually hosts a lot of the jams and stuff. Um,
Oh, nice,
as for
nice.
yeah, before like contents and everything, I'm a little bit
Hmm.
foggy on the details. I do know there's a lot of influence and a lot of like movement between Vancouver and Winnipeg. Um, I know there's
Okay.
also like Nelson Nelly Rock. He's another one that would know a lot. He was there like a long time ago in Vancouver scene. Um, Filthy Feet, like my crew again came from Victoria, BC, so there was like a boat ride and everything in between the two cities. Things were a bit less connected back then in a similar way to the way they are now with like the internet and everything. But yeah, those are probably some of the names I would throw as like Jarek and Nelson Nelly Rock and Contents Under
Okay.
Pressure. Any of their members would know a lot for sure.
Nice, nice. That's good to know.
Mhm.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, let's loop it back a little bit about you. You know, when did you when how old were you, or when did you start breaking into like competitions, or like your first competition?
Oh,
Um
yeah.
I know it might be a little far back. Maybe let's say do you have a most like memorable battle or moment in breakdancing?
I'll since you said like the first,
Yeah,
I'm like going back in like my memory banks, but
yeah.
I'll remember
For sure.
I've always remembered this one battle because to me it kind of encompassed a lot about what I like about breaking. Um, I really like the feeling of mystery. I really like the feeling of like, you know, not knowing too much in a sense. Like I remember back in the day when I first started going to Seattle, it's like, what's going to
Uh-huh.
happen? I've heard stories, but I'm not totally sure. And there's that kind
Yeah.
of like adventurous feeling. And in terms of that, like when I was in that breaking club in my high school, we kind of had a bit of a crew, um, and we really looked up to this crew and another crew because I came from a city called Burnaby. That's where I grew up. It's like in
Uh-huh.
the greater Vancouver area, so it's like maybe like 30 kilometers from Vancouver. But at the high school, like the crew from Burnaby North, which is like another high school, they had
Uh-huh.
like their legendary in my city breaking crew called Kamikaze Crew, and they came and called us out during lunch hour in front of the whole school.
Oh, no way.
It was on, we had this like cement, like really polished, like hard concrete floor, and just that experience of like getting called out at lunch in front of the whole school and like battling uh these dancers that you haven't really met but you've heard about, and
Yeah.
that like whole adventurous aspect, and then right after you like make friends, you connect, that whole like kind of process is what I really like about breaking. And I think that was one of the moments where I was like, yes, I'm going to do this forever. Like I just that was it, right? Yeah,
That's tight. That's dope.
I would say that.
I never had an experience like that back in high school. I started right almost out of high school. I started when I was like 18. This was back in '06.
Mhm.
But what you just pictured in my mind, I was thinking, I was like, oh well, it reminds me of like, like these crew, like a movie almost, like these crews coming to school trying to battle us, but then you guys did get down, and then you guys end up being, possibly friends and stuff through that, right? But you guys like had beef at the time because you guys wanted to see who was better, who got different moves and stuff. So that's pretty tight. That's tight.
Yeah, that's like that mystery aspect that I really enjoy. And like actually like it kind of reminds me of some like kung fu cinema too, like where you like go challenge the other dojo or like what have you, right? Call the master
Yeah.
out. be like my style's better. Like, I don't know. I like
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be like so serious and aggressive, but just that kind of like friction and like mystery is like something I kind of miss actually, but I guess there's always ways to find it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool. That's cool. That's cool. Um, yeah. And so, how would you, I know you got some like creativity, you got some good footwork, you got like some blow up things. I know you do like a roll a chair roll back and you do like a suicide like gyro landing. And how would you, from your eyes, what how would you explain your creativity?
Hmm.
Or is there like something that inspires you to kind of move like that within your creativity of movements?
Yeah. I mean, like everything really, like it's that topic in and of itself I could discuss for a long time. I'm gonna try to make
Yeah,
it as brief as possible.
for
I am
sure. For sure.
actually like right now working on a workshop that's just like trying to share my creative process and like my own approach to the dance. I've been writing notes for like 7 or 8 years now and like
Oh
kind of
wow.
done little workshops, but like I'm trying to really distill everything and think of everything in communicable terms. So I would start off by saying that my intentions in breaking have always been a bit different. I've had
Uh-huh.
seasons in my dancing. When I first started, I was really inspired by like kung fu, and I really enjoyed acrobatics and like blow ups and big moves. Um, and
Yeah.
I would focus on that more, right? Like eventually the interests change. Like I'm not going to say you get bored, but like, oh, like this is interesting. Like I haven't delved into footwork so much. Like there's so much to unpack here. So then I started getting like more into footwork. And in the beginning, I was trying to create, but I was also just trying to get a handle on things like physically.
Hmm.
When I started breaking, there weren't many resources to learn. Like I remember learning on breakdance.com and it's like little text descriptions where you're trying to like unpack this like paragraph of text and do a move and it's like doesn't look anything like the intended like what the person like intended, right? But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, it's interesting. Maybe that's something that we could try. Is like I'm gonna write down this movement and like see how you interpret it. But anyways, as
With
time went
the
on,
I was gonna say with AI now, maybe it'll create something, right? Like it'll just create a movement or style. Yeah, but
describe a breaking move as creatively as possible and then try to do the AI description in person, that'd be hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah. And then like yeah, like I said, like in the beginning, I the creativity aspect like really was a big draw for me. So it's harder to create when you don't have the foundation down. Like it took me, I don't learn very fast. It took me a long
uh-huh.
time. I was like pretty awkward. I'm not very like I don't pick up on movement very fast. I'm not like, especially when I started, I wasn't very physically strong and stuff. And I remember I wanted to learn windmills, and it took me like 8 years to like even get close.
Right.
So as I started becoming more structured, after I was getting more influence from like seeing dancers around me, um, I started to think of foundation and I started to think of it in a different way. So this is like one of the best ways I can describe how I like to create, or one of the modes that I like to create and that I've liked to create with
Uh-huh.
is instead of thinking of foundation as like 6 step, CCs or kickouts and like these moves, which or movement patterns or what have you, which are foundation, you go like a level below that. So like what basic positions do you find in the 6 step? And like the 6 step was created to
Mm,
teach like many of the main kind of techniques found within footwork. There's so much going on in a 6 step, for example. So like
yeah.
just how little things can kind of like say you have a foundation in a building and you shift it, like it can kind of cause a bunch of disturbance and change going up, right? So something
Yeah.
as simple as like shape, like finding a very basic shape in your footwork, or like a subtle change, like changing the angle of your foot, changing the way you lean, looking in a different direction, and just seeing how like movement comes from that, like going upward. And sometimes you don't know what it looks like. A lot of
Yes.
experimentation. I've always been kind of a proponent of taking risks, um, trying things in ciphers and environments that maybe in the beginning are goofy or awkward or don't really work, but rather than trying to iron out every wrinkle and every crease and making everything perfect, just testing things. Even if I'm afraid to test them, like throwing them out there and seeing what they turn into after gathering feedback from either myself watching it or from other people, and just like try just trying new things, new shapes,
Yeah.
um,
It
keeping in mind the foundation and the feel of breaking, right? Um, so that's one thing is like, looking below what people would consider foundation and creating from like scratch, from different shapes or different concepts. I like playing around with restriction too, or limitation. I
uh
found it to be very important because limitation kind of is the container and the conditions of creativity. Like
oh yeah.
the creators of hip hop, um, there's a lot of limitation in that life, and look what they created, right?
Yeah.
Like look at a movie like Star Wars, for example, and the difference between the old movies where you're doing practical effects and you have all these limitations, and new movies where anything's possible through CGI. You get like a very distinct feel and look to the art because of those limitations. So, something as simple as restricting yourself to like a groove. In a sense, dancing is a limitation because you're dancing to the music. Like the music
Yeah.
limits you, and otherwise there's too much to do. There's too much freedom in a sense. Like you have to have these anchor points, whether it's music, whether it's a concept, whether it's like creating like a almost like world building is what I like to call it.
Uh-huh.
For example, one thing is pretending that like there's some kind of weird magnet, or your hand is magnetic or the bottom of your foot's magnetic and it can never actually contact the floor. Like what happens if I if I try to create that world? Like what kind of movement can I come up with? Or
Uh
even like creating some kind of shape with your body, um whether it's like, you can people there's like certain shapes that happen in breaking a lot. Breaking is has a lot of like perpendicular angles, but like just going to like the kind of the basics of like what kind of a shape can I create with my body, and then trying to move within that shape. And there's so many
yeah.
shapes you can come up with. Like you can use your fingers, you can use your head, you can, have your shoulder a different way. There's like starting from that like kind
Yeah.
of beginning and seeing what comes out of it. And then the last thing I'll say is like range, right? I've heard the term big, small, um, creating contrast in your dance. And one way that I like to do that was taking like a previous season of my dancing, which was a lot of like blow ups, things inspired by martial arts, trying to be like powerful and mixing subtlety within that, like small movements within the large movements, um, going from like small shapes to big shapes, and just finding different ways to contrast your movement, because
Yeah.
creativity isn't just one move. It's also like if you think of like a sentence and words, it's like sometimes if you say two words back to back, they're totally different than if you just say one, right? So
Yeah.
just like how do you combine things, and
Yeah,
then you
that's
can go into
crazy.
like structure
That's so cool.
versus like creating methodically and like making sets versus like movement in the moment and like combining those two. Yeah, there's so much, but that's
Yeah.
I guess it's a basic element of how I think of
That's
creativity.
crazy. Like the ability for you to look at it in that way. I actually haven't thought about like structure wise, and like when you're talking about like I think of like like you're saying buildings, and if it's like tilted this way, how are you going to adapt and do a movement from that method or that range, or if you want to make it big or small, the contrast to that move. um One move really kicked in when you're talking about it. You do this, you just do a regular chair, and then you actually swing your arm and like you touch the ground or something right after. Like I remember
Yeah.
you did that at a battle. I seen that and I was like, dude, that thing is tight. Like even though it was such a small movement with it, it was big too at the same contrast because no one I haven't seen that was my first time seeing it. Someone did a regular chair and they just used their hands that like spin with the beat and touch the ground with the beat instead of like I've seen people pop up to like a spin gyro or like some trick move, but
Hmm.
that little small movement felt big in a sense too because it hit the beat. It flowed really nice, and so
And like of course, yeah, like interacting with music too, like really makes a difference because you can be subtle. Like people pick up on subtlety, whether you might not feel it in on like a big stage where like it seems like everything gets lost, but like subtlety can really be picked up and be like a blow up, right? And like little secret,
yeah.
sometimes like those things to me were because like physical abilities came hard to me, so I had to do things that were easy, but they don't necessarily come off as easy because it's like there's a whole process behind those like quote unquote easy things, like not hard moves, but you can like sprinkle so many like little details into everything you do that it's yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Thanks.
yeah, add some flavor, sprinkle things, and whatever perspective you use your capability in, right? You got buildings, you could people say flavor, sauce up your stuff, stuff like that. It's just
Oh, yeah.
how, yeah, dude, that's dope, man. I love it. Like that was really cool. You definitely created a different mindset in my head, thinking of like structure wise, and so that's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, like a really simple exercise is like get on the ground. You can like it can be sitting or like whatever position and just try to create a shape. Um, can be some like connection in the shape as long as it's a strong shape and just try to move and hold that shape and see what comes out of it. It might not look great. It might just completely, trigger something in your mind. Um, yeah, that's like one little exercise, but
Nice, nice. I'm gonna try that next practice. I do.
yeah, and
Marks
it's
Illa, yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm trying to think. What would you say? What was like one of your biggest battle or time of year you're most like active that that you know you compete a bunch of jams at that year, or most felt fit for that breaking active.
hmm. I would say probably like it's weird. Like I've had very distinct like phases in my breaking. I feel like right now I'm more like experimental and more just like trying to dance and like maybe not as like dynamic as I used to be, though I am working on getting all that old stuff back and that old kind of ability back and
For
combining it.
sure.
But I would probably say maybe 10 years ago, I was battling a lot in Vancouver. Like Dean and I won like World B-Boy Classics in Vancouver and went to Eindhoven and battled
Oh
at the
wow.
world event, and I ended up going to like Paris and
Oh
um
nice.
a good friend uh, Jean-Baptiste uh, kind of took
Uh-huh.
care of me there and showed me some jams, and like I'd say any years that I've traveled a lot, like, but it's been pretty spread out and it's always been different. I wouldn't say that there was a time that it was like the best.
Uh-huh.
There's always just been like experiences that are super unique and like lessons learned and awarenesses gained. Um,
Yeah.
Also, like about 10 years ago, I started like a dance company with some friends, where we did like contemporary. We brought like street dance into the contemporary lens, and it started with us just wanting to session together, like a bunch of us friends with different dance styles, and it turned into like shows and stuff. But
Oh,
around
cool.
that time, a lot unlocked in my mind. Um, and I really enjoyed that part of my breaking as well because I was starting to, everything was opening up, right? And it made
Yeah.
things exciting again. Um, but yeah, it's tricky. And like this year, I got to go to the Yukon, and I've battled in Vancouver a whole bunch, and I'm going to Vietnam later this year. Hopefully, I'll be able to break there a whole bunch. It's
Yeah.
always just felt different. I wouldn't say that there was like a top tier time or anything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. That's incredible. Yeah. Because there's so much in experience in like those moments, that spreading out, and it definitely resonates and builds up to where you're at today. So
And I would say traveling to like Portland and Seattle, like going to Portland's always been like awesome. Just the community and the people and the city, like I've always really enjoyed my time there. Yeah.
nice. Heck yeah. Yeah, that's dope. Um, when you going to Vietnam?
Planning December to February is the plan.
Oh, okay. Okay.
In-
I know
in-
there's a Portland Jam on the 18th of November. So I don't know. That's yeah, yeah. Bboy Surge from Jungle Brothers. So
Hmm.
he lives out here. He's throwing that jam.
Oh, I didn't even
Um,
know. I will look into that.
yeah, I think he just recently posted through Instagram, like I think like a couple days ago actually. And I
Hmm.
just found out too. I was like, oh crap, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, yeah. So cool. Yeah, what are some I remember I asked you back, I think this was like 2014 when the second Ashes Ashes happened. Um, I remember watching the video, the Step Up Resolution or Step Up something, and I remember like I saw you or like your crew did a small performance in that gig or
All in.
in the
Step up
film.
all in.
Step
Yeah,
Up
yeah.
All In. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you walk through or the experience that through that? I mean, I had never experienced anything like that, and I think that's kind of cool to bring up and see how your thoughts about that.
Yeah. I The film industry is interesting. I mean, I before I was like breaking or like in the early stages, I was also kind of interested in like stunt work and stuff. Like a bunch of my friends, we started a group called Hybrid Movement where we did shows where we'd combine like martial arts and acrobatics and breaking. So I was like always thinking about film. I never really got like super heavy into film. Step up all in. It was a cool experience. Definitely like we'll always remember that. And it was even
Yeah.
cooler that I got to do it with people that I both look up to and that were friends as well. So that we repped a crew. It was funny because we were like a crew in that movie, and by we I mean it was a combination of members of my crew, Filthy Feet, and then some breakers from the east, like fresh format members, and we repped a crew in the
Okay.
movie Textiles, and in the subtitle they said we're from like Minneapolis or something. It
Oh,
was
okay.
funny. We were all wearing like all denim, like the Canadian tuxedo, and I was like, oh, if they just had like said, oh, we're from Canada or something, it would have been even cooler. But it's all
Oh.
good. So yeah, like also, the film industry is kind of interesting because like social connections are a big part of that. Dean
Yeah.
and myself, I would actually attribute a large reason of why we got that gig to Kid David and Wicket, who are like good friends of ours, and they were
Uh-huh.
working on that movie, and they put in a good word for us.
Oh,
Um,
nice, nice.
they did also do like some auditions and stuff in Vancouver, but I think with that, like the social kind of in really helped us get that, like no complaints at all. But I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
think there's a lot of people that would have also deserved that role in that movie. Yeah, I never really posted anything about it. Maybe I should, uh, like
Yeah,
post
I
or
think you should.
something.
It's
But
kind of cool. I mean, people like me or whoever sees it, like, oh well, this guy was he actually was in it. Like, even though, like you mentioned, some other people could have been deserved to be on it too, but it's your network who definitely plays a big part. And I think that's just in general, and like in life and everything, like who are the people that can give words to you, can possibly get you different things in life that can help. And so
Mhm.
having for you to have the opportunity to do that, I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. If I like search up my name in Google, it's just like all this IMDb stuff and everything. It's kind of interesting. Never like set anything up. It's like, yeah, and it was a fun
Oh,
experience.
nice.
We like filmed a day or two, and then we all just got to like hang out and party with all the dancers. So it was like the whole experience of just getting to chill with everyone. That was, like probably one of my favorite things about it, which is also true when you travel to like go to a battle or something. A lot of the time, it's like the battle's cool and it's a part of it, but those experiences of like actually hanging out with people, like when we went to like eat and everything, those conversations, like that's what,
Yeah.
when I'm, on my deathbed or whatever, I'll be looking back at those things more than like, oh, I did well in so and so competition, right? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because there's so many talented people that are pursuing, just in the dance community and just meeting people. Like, everyone's so nice,
Mhm.
everyone do good and stuff. It's just like, ah, man, it's a incredible thing,
Yeah,
definitely.
the community, man. Like even like networking, like how many opportunities have I had just from somebody that I've known through dance, and like how many experiences have I had because people are open to each other, and I hope that everyone feels like safe in the community and can have all these experiences that I've had. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah, definitely. It does play a part of who wants to be out there, who wants to connect with other people and travel,
Mhm.
battle, or within the local community. So yeah, definitely the people's got to put themselves out there as well and not feel any discouragement and stuff like that. Because I want if I see like a new cat breaking or doing a competition, then they're let's say they're not doing as good at that jam, but they're I can tell you're kind of a newbie or you're learning right now. It's okay as long as you get out there and just kind of put yourself out, because I definitely, it's nerve wracking to like you get the jitters, you kind of nerve wracking being on the stage and ready to perform, right? But once you're down there, you kind of snap into mode and do whatever best your ability that which is the breaking. So
And on that note, um, just like one comment that I think is important is like I've always been like a really anxious person, like getting in front of people, doing all this stuff, like very hard on myself. Um, and I remember when I started breaking, like I would just think that all these dancers are judging me, and like it would prevent me from like going out as much as I'd want to. But now that I've been breaking for a long time and I'm experienced, whenever I see like a newer dancer, someone that's younger, that's just starting out, I'm just rooting for them, and I want all the dancers, like whatever style you're doing, all the people that break, just like you're probably being a lot harder on yourself than those other people in the cipher.
yeah,
And like, those moments are, they'll just like fall through and like everything will keep going and just like go for it, get in the cipher, have fun. You only live once. Um,
yeah.
and people are not like thinking as negative things about you as you think they might be. And if they are, they're not worth it. Just keep going.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because you get things, all these voices in your head. I could have better this and this. This guy looked at you. You get all these,
Yeah.
things that probably didn't matter in your mind, which they don't, they probably didn't even care, right? So it's all in your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah.
Nice, dang, dope, man, dope. Um, are you working anything in the projects? Working on any future build-ups with you're working on right now, or like what are you up to nowadays?
I would like to start some projects. I've been pretty busy the last few years. Like, I've been into graphic design. I was
Nice,
always
nice.
interested in graphic design. I used to be a draftsman, and then I spent like most of my 20s just dancing, like doing shows, um, just trying to make dance life work, right? And I got more into graphic design like maybe 10 years ago. So I've been I went back to school. I've been working since then a bunch, like
Uh-huh.
in web, and the last couple of years I've been working in print shops and learning print. Um, and also got to do a lot of like graphic design work for the community, which is like my, I guess, like the meaningful work, which has been really nice. Like, got to do branding for like Breaking BC, Vancouver
Oh,
Street
nice.
Dance Festival, um, like the CDS championships, um, like a bunch of random jams in Vancouver. So
Okay.
I'm really, yeah. And the thing is, like, the community is like very altruistic. Like, when I see the younger generation throwing events out of pocket and putting all this time into it, or I see you doing this like podcast, like I just want to like throw in as well, right? So I'm
For
always
sure.
like I'm always up to help the community. Like, I think I should get what I'm worth too as a graphic designer, but also I know that like events and jams and these movements a lot of the time are very grassroots. So I'm always like happy to work with people on stuff in their means. So I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of like graphic design in the community. That's been like this last kind of season. And I've been breaking, but it's been more for myself. The year before that, I joined Higher Ground, which was a dance company by Tasha Gori, and I had an amazing year. I learned all about like, hip hop in general, street dance styles, like all these classes. And what I would like to do is one, do that workshop that I've been kind of planning, maybe do like a
Oh, yeah.
small scale version of it, and then just keep like continuing it on and like tweaking it and maybe traveling and throwing this workshop because I'm at the
Yeah.
stage where I was like, there's so much has gone into my head and I want to just kind of process it in digestible ways and try to share it with people. And then the other thing that I'd really like to do is throw jams again. Like,
Yeah.
um, one really memorable jam that I did with um, Dean from my crew and Nick's one was called Saturday Night Jam Masters. And
Okay.
we came up with the idea because we were doing a performance and we started like paralleling similarities between breaking and like pro wrestling. Like we were just having like a
Oh,
weird conversation, right?
I think I saw an
And like,
advertisement of that. Was it like a snippets of like Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen, or something? Or is that
yes,
was that?
yeah, yeah, Ric Flair. I like my era of like wrestling was more like Hulk Hogan and like the Ultimate Warrior and like Papa Shango and all these like I don't know.
Yeah,
It was like the
yes.
characters, right? Like
Yeah.
and it really like the characters in dance. Like you have these characters, these personas, and they are kind of like they are characters, but they're still you. And we just started seeing all of these like, oh, what could we do with like a breaking event that tied in like these elements of like, we would make like signs and we made the whole event about vibe. Like, how can we make a jam that people that dance, people that are into hip hop, and the general public could all come and have a fun time and not feel like they're somehow on the outside. Like, how do you bring people into that? So we just got DJs that we really liked. We did it at a place called Sideshow Studios, which was a circus studio. They
Oh, nice.
we worked together with them. They created like an entrance for us out of wood. Um,
Oh, damn.
we just
Okay.
like put crazy lighting up, smoke machines. We had like a microphone come from the ceiling, and Dean from my
Oh,
crew did like the Bruce Buffer impression. And the whole idea was to have a party and then have some exhibition battles. And then the exhibition battles, we advertised them like kind of like wrestling. Like we had interviews like months in advance with people that were
all
taking
right.
part.
Cutting
They
promos and
would,
stuff. They call
yeah,
it.
yeah, they would get like really into their
Yeah.
characters and like call the other person out, and all these like funny videos came out of it. And we'd like put them up on the projector, have people come in with their entrance music, and then we made like signs that were like rooting for different people and passed them out to the audience. And we just like really tried to get everyone into like the vibe and feel like included in what's going on and not just bystanders.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one great memory of that was GWS, which is a crew from the Yukon, good friends. They came out, and when the jam was over, the projector like the kind of like static came on, and then there was like an NWO style video where they like sang a song and called out all of Vancouver, and then everyone
Oh,
battled them for the rest of the night. Got like pretty heated, but and then we ended up doing, I think it was four more. And unfortunately, that venue shut down. And uh, my friend Dean, he's living in Japan now. But if and when he comes back, like I would love to throw another one of those. And also a Filthy Feet
yeah.
anniversary, like a crew anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that'd
the
be
crew's
dope.
been around over 20 years now. So we want to, it'd be cool to just get all those people that I looked up to, like the whole crew back together, as much for us as for everybody else, and just
Right.
throw a jam in our style of like how we would want to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty dope. You
Yeah.
gotta let me know. I'll be there.
Sure, yeah. Maybe you'll
Yeah.
see some like, weird videos on the airwaves before then.
Yeah, there you go. It's cutting promos and some wrestling themes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so cool that you said that. Like, I grew up watching wrestling too, and like, I
It's-
love wrestling. I grew up watching, like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, all that. And then I think I kind of fell off after like the Attitude Era, like the Rock, Stone Cold and stuff. Then I
yeah,
kind of was like,
same.
yeah, I still watch it time to time, just like highlights, but wasn't like into it when I was younger.
Mhm.
Um, I did throw a jam called The Pit. I don't know if you've seen it. You might have seen the videos. Um,
Okay.
I I was talking with one of the guys named Boogie, Alex. I don't know if you know him. He's in Moon Patrol now, right? And he
Mhm.
used to be on different crews. And so we threw a jam together called The Pit, and the concept of it was just a big giant cipher. He had a different mindset, and I had a different mindset. I was thinking his mindset was like a mosh pit, but then in my mindset, I was thinking of wrestling like the Royal Rumble. Like, hey, let's have a giant cipher, almost like a Royal Rumble, where there'll be kind of like judges there. There's three judges, and the cipher just kept going until someone gets eliminated, and the person can't call the other guy until the next round, so that they get a rest time. And
Yeah.
so it kind of threw there where like half the circle's the audience, the other half was the competitors, and they'll just jump in cipher and cipher. There's a few times like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. So that people had like a 2 versus 2 within it and eliminate it until the end. It's like,
That's good.
and so yeah, I was thinking Royal Rumble in my head, right? So like these crews can like fractions, but they could be homies. But then when it gets to the end, if they're the last couple people, they still got to battle each other to eliminate each other. So it was a
So
cool concept. I thought about throwing it back. I threw it 2 times. This was back in like first one was in 2011, the other one's 2013, and I thought a lot about bringing it back because a lot of people like the concept and stuff like that, and I just want to
okay.
throw it down. But I
So,
want to do it bigger and better this time, just because the first time I think I broke even. The second time I used kind of I lost some money through out of pocket money and stuff like that, and so I want to do a little bit better this upcoming round just to provide and hopefully bring people down that like can do like some workshops and stuff like that to make it more experienced.
a lot of like cool concepts you can come up with breaking. Like, I don't know, even competitions are kind of like a game that you're playing with breaking. Like you're putting these rules, and it's like there's so many concepts you could come up with, and yeah, I like your concept.
Oh
Please
yeah.
let me.
Yeah, it's very you gotta have it was tough. I couldn't did it because the person that throws the jam not really supposed to enter. But I think this time around I'm gonna be like, hey, I wanna be in the cipher pit to compete myself, just to like test myself too. And I want to be involved in it. And so I was throwing like a twist, maybe like, hey, whoever eliminates me will get like a prize, or something like that. Just so that way people are not being like controversial or biased or stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
nice.
but yeah. So yeah,
The
yeah.
ring,
Anyways.
nice.
Yeah, cool, man. So are you practicing? Are you pretty active right now, or are you just kind of like, doing your work kind of off and on, practice here and there?
I mean, I've always like I've had like some times of like high intensity where I'd practice like 5 times a week, but I'd
Oh wow.
say pretty like regularly through like the whole time I've been breaking, probably at least twice a week. I try to like get down, and I'm in that right now. I had at the beginning of this year, I had a pretty bad foot injury. I got like
Oh
plantar
okay.
fasciitis from my job because I'm on my feet all day, like running around on concrete floor. Didn't
Uh
have the best shoes. And eventually that combined with like dancing, I think just put too much strain on my foot. So for about 5 months, I didn't dance. And then I
oh.
came back pretty hard, just like was practicing a lot. And now I've kind of like leveled off a bit more. But
Mhm.
my goal is to like build this workshop and dance while I'm in Vietnam. And then
Yeah.
my goal is for next year to travel a bunch just for breaking. So I'll probably be trying to train a lot more next year and try to make more of a disciplined schedule around it and try to kind of take all the lessons that I've learned recently and kind of like combine it with like my old like movement vocabulary and like tendencies and just like mash it together and just try to battle a lot. And of course, like also try to maintain my body too, because I'm
Yeah.
almost I'll be 40 soon in like
Oh
a year.
really?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay, no way.
No
Yeah, yeah.
excuses, right? But at the
Right.
same time, I
40
do.
freestyle session 40 for 40.
I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Dope, dope. I'm turning 36 this year. I turn 36 next month, and I've been breaking for like off and on 17 years, and definitely it's always been around. I'm like, right before COVID happened, I was training hard, like 2019 ish, and I was like, I was training with my crew. Um, the crew got into against all odds. I don't know if you know them, but uh, it was mainly me. I think, and out of the group, I competed a bunch at the time, and so now just kind of like I kind of rep myself and stuff. So that's where I'm at right now. And I was
Cool.
just like, yeah, I just want to practice really hard during that time. Then COVID happened, and then it kind of I'm like, okay, and then got back to work, and then it keeps gravitating back to dance and the hip hop
Yeah.
scene and seeing other people growing. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't get away. So I think this year and the next, I'm going to try to hopefully be at uh, better level in conditioning to break in battle, right? I definitely try to get all my moves back too. I can't get a lot of them. Well, I can. There's only a few I like kind of worried about doing. Still, like these blow up tricks, I trying to get back, but hopefully I get them back. But yeah,
Yeah. Either like I've had times too where it's like you try to get something back and your body is just different, or even your mind, like maybe the move's like not fun anymore or something, or it doesn't feel the same, but something might still come out of it. Maybe you end up reinterpreting it, or it's like a little bit different. But yeah, even that process is kind of fun sometimes, like digging back into your own archives
yeah.
and making it feel good again, you know?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. That's so true. There's a combo I do, and like I did it, but I was like, I don't really like it. How do I twist it or make it a little bit better, or you know? like the structure thing. Hey, let's do it. Let's try a movement of this way instead of this way and make it look more dynamic and levels and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah, man. Well, if you come to
Cool.
Vancouver, let me know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'll keep an eye out for like maybe an upcoming jam or maybe I'm visiting for for whatever reasons and stuff. And so
Mhm.
definitely. Um cool. Let's I think I'm gonna wrap it up a little bit here, Mark Saylor.
Yeah.
Marks Illers. So, hey, I got a couple questions before we get off. What's your favorite all-time breakdance move?
Oh, geez. That is really tough.
It
Uh,
is, yeah, yeah. My favorite is the flare. Even though, like, I could do a couple flares to like windmills, flares to swipes. I mean, I haven't learned air flares yet, but maybe eventually that'll be a challenge for a goal of maybe end of the year. I don't know.
you mean like move in terms of something that I like to do or something that I've seen that's really impacted me?
It could be either or, like an all-time favorite move. Maybe you can't do it, maybe you can do it. You just like a movement you see somebody do, like, oh, I just love it.
Man, it's like tough. I honestly, and this is something like I've heard from like my friend Bounce as well, is like
Uh-huh.
the kick out or the CC. I don't know why, but I feel like it's such a defining move. Like if you have a strong CC, the form of like your CCs, um, just like it's like a movement in your footwork, and it's like that kind of whipping motion, and it can lead to so many transitions, and it just aesthetically defines people, like the way that they do that movement. And like again, I've heard the reason that I sometimes like interchange the names is because I've heard in the past that CC isn't the correct term for kick out. And then
Mm.
I've also heard them called like Russians or Russian taps. But now, like, because my girlfriend is Ukrainian and I've learned that a lot of like
Uh-huh.
Russian taps actually originated in Ukraine, it's like, oh, should I call it like the Ukrainian tap? Like, I don't know. But that movement, like the kick out, the CC, what have you, like, I just think it just looks so nice. And it's like, yeah, it's like a defining like feature in people's like approach to the dance, and I can see that one movement and sometimes tell who a certain dancer is. Yeah,
Ah, that's
I like it.
awesome. So if you're a judge, I know I gotta stand out with the CCs. Hey, next question. If you had a chance to battle anybody or somebody, would that either be someone you want to battle against or somebody you'll team up on a 2 versus 2? Did that come out right? So like,
Yeah, I would say teaming up
yeah.
100% always my crew. I never get more hype. I never feel more comfortable. I never feel more like myself than when I'm battling with my crew.
Dope,
Um,
dope.
Especially Dean, and I mean everyone, like So Sick and Jim, and like battling with like the original members of my crew would be like a different experience. But I don't know, I'm a crew guy.
Yeah.
Like I'd always love to battle with my crew. Battling against, there's so many options, but
Yeah.
I would love to share the floor with Remind, just because
Oh,
like
wow.
I would say that he was like one of the, like, how you have those defining moments where it could seem like, you go to a jam and you dance and it's just like that meaningful like round or whatever. Someone sees it and it like changes something in their mind. For me, it was Remind. I forgot what jam it was. I think it might have been
Nice.
Champs or something. He was battling with like Teal Steel and like I forgot
Mm,
who else was in the crew, but just or yeah, yeah. But anyways, um,
okay.
watching him dance was like a defining point where I was like, this is like what breaking can be. Um, this is how creative you can
Yeah.
be. Like this is how like much of an essence you can have and character you can have. And I would say for that reason, I would say Remind for sure.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. I love it. I love it. I think I seen him one time in Seattle, like a Zulu jam, um,
Yeah, yeah.
many years
I
ago.
think I was there. Yeah.
Cool, man. Hell yeah. Hey, dude. Oh, one more. Do you have an all-time like favorite song or artist that you like to listen to like during breaks? I know that can go very like extreme because there's so much out there.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have one on top of your head that resonates with you?
Mm, I would say, of course, like James Brown and stuff, because that's like kind of embodies like so much of the essence and has so much variety and it's like a part of the history. I love Rock Creek Park.
Okay.
Um, I don't know why, because it's like this chill like song and it just works for breaking. Um, as far as like newer music, oh yeah, DJ Bless One. A lot of his music I love because
Oh, nice. Yeah.
he's a homie and also I just like the way he puts things together and uses organic sounds and like instruments and is just very creative with the music he puts out. Um, and I
Yeah.
really love like boom bap hip hop, like really hard hitting, like like NWA or
Okay.
Rakim or I love like golden era. Like if I'm in a battle, that's like the kind of music that makes me feel the most like committed to throwing down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dope.
I don't know
Sick.
why. Just love that song.
Dope, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate this and you being on, taking the time to talk through the podcast and do getting more knowledge of your experience in the break scene and some of your knowledge and mindset. So this is real cool, man. I want to wrap it up here. Do you got any last takeaways or any last wordings for me or the viewers? Any last wording, anything on your mind that you want to say before you get off?
Uh, sure. I would say one thing is never lose faith in the fact that you can create something. I've heard a lot of
Love it.
different like takes, everything's been done. People have probably done the movement that you've done sometime in the past, but the world and like the many forms that we find in the world, they are recreations, but you're always doing them differently. And I would say don't lose faith in the fact that you can create something because then you're just kind of like lowering your standards. Like have faith that you can come up with something, try. Um, don't be afraid to be whack. Like don't
Love
try to skip the step of awkwardness. Don't try to skip um, testing concepts out, testing movement out, testing ideas out, even if they fail. Um, and many of the things that you might be self-conscious of, maybe in your dancing, as you keep dancing, those little quirks, those imperfections that maybe you want to iron out, those end up becoming defining characteristics of your style and your expression and your personality. And you deserve to be confident when you dance. It's not like something that you have to be the best in the world in order to feel confident. Like you deserve this time to like be in the spotlight and to dance and to vibe with people. We
it.
all live for a short period of time, and let's make it count. Let's have fun and let's keep jamming.
Yeah, we be jamming. Love it, dude. Thank you so much, Marks Illers. And we're
Thank you.
if people want to connect with you, do you got what's the best source to find you? Social media, emails, where can they
Probably
find you?
probably Instagram's a good place.
Okay.
Mark.Siller, Mark.Siller. I message with people a lot on there and I'm on it quite often, so that's probably the best way. Yeah.
Dope, dope. And whoever is watching this, if you want to get down in the Canada, Vancouver, BC scene, Mark Taylor, definitely shoot him a message. He knows the people down there where he could get in the community and start finding practices and get down.
I'll
So
help however I can.
Yeah, love it. Cool. Hey, thank you for being on the show. If you want to connect more with Mark Iller, I'll leave his description down and below in this description. And if you find this episode channel valuable, do me a favor, share this, like this, subscribe this, follow this. Thanks you guys for watching, and catch you on the next one.
All right, cool. Thank you. Thanks for doing this.
House influence or something like that, like from Circle of Fire. So like that's our history where there's a lot of like more dancey, like vibey kind of dance. House influence or something like that, like from Circle of Fire. So like that's our history.